Again, hello, and thank you everyone for joining us tonight. And welcome to our Spring 2023 Professional Practices Series. My name is Ziba Rajabi. I'm MFA visiting faculty this semester, and I'm coordinating professional practices as well. I'm going to start out with a visual description of myself in case we have anyone with low vision participating tonight. I'm a young woman with brown skin color and black hair wearing a dark green sweater, and I'm zooming in from my living room. Before I introduce our speakers and begin this event, I want to respectfully acknowledge that the land we are occupying in Minneapolis is unceded territory, the ancestral homelands of the Dakota and Anishinaabe people. Gathering here, we pay our respect to the elders, both past and present. We acknowledge the grave harm that colonialism brought to this land, in particular the erasure of both indigenous and African identities, not only under slavery, but via racist laws that have segregated all people. We honor those who have lived and do live now at these intersections of identity and experience. If you would like to learn more about land acknowledgements, please screenshot this slide and visit the website listed. I'll wait a few seconds if you want to take the screenshot, so you can visit this website later. So, okay, let's continue. This event is sponsored by the MCAD MFA program, which is a community of makers, thinkers, researchers, and creative professionals working in a mentor-based interdisciplinary environment. And just a few notes, your audio and video will be muted for this webinar. If you experience any technical difficulties, please email us at av_support@mcad.edu. Please feel free to leave questions in the chat, and we will select from the submissions after our speakers have presented. Also, thank you to our support staff, Kylie Van Noot, Senior Administrative Assistant, and Nikki Mutekallem, Administrative Assistant, and also Bob in AV Support and Shervin tonight. This is our event timeline tonight. We start with guest attorney Shervin Abachi, and then we proceed with panelist artists Peng Wu, Xia Huanma, and Zui Chinel. And we continue with question and answers. So now I'm going to introduce Shervin. Shervin Abachi is a senior associate attorney at Sethi and Mazaheri, where he specializes in immigration, entertainment, and art law. His practice includes employment-based temporary and permanent visa petitions for artists and entertainers, O visa, P visa, and EB1 visa, and legal research on various entertainment matters, such as copyright, trademark, contracts, and artist agreements. He earned his Juris Doctor degree from Rutgers University School of Law and Art and Cultural Heritage Law Certificate from Georgetown University Law Center. In addition to his role at Sethi and Mazaheri LCC, Shervin is the founder of Abachi LLC, a company that aims to empower immigrant artists whose circumstances make it difficult for them to express themselves or find the jobs that match their talent. Shervin serves as a member of the board advisors to Artistic Freedom Initiative, a nonprofit organization led by immigration and human rights attorney, facilitating pro bono immigration representation and resettlement assistance for international artists at risk. He is also a member of the board of directors of the Big Dance Theater, a New York City-based dance theater company known for its experimental theatrical productions, which combine dance, drama, and literature. As an art enthusiast, Shervin is a director of Folks International Short Film Competition at the From on Law, Culture and Society, a human rights themed short film competition offering independent and emerging filmmakers the chance to screen their work in New York City and creatively engage the public in discussions regarding justice and popular culture. Thank you so much, Shervin, for joining us tonight. And I'm going to stop my slide and you can share yours.
Okay, thank you so much. I mean, you can hear me, right?
Yes.
So good. Thank you for inviting me for this amazing webinar. As you mentioned, everyone, I'm Shervin Abachi. I'm a senior attorney at this boutique law firm of ours, Sethi and Mazari LLC. I'm specialized in doing non-immigrant and immigrant petitions exclusively for artists and entertainers. And on, half of my work is about visas and the other half is about entertainment and, contracts. And when you get into the field, you'll get more used to having contracts and negotiations. So tonight, by the invitation of Ziba, I'm here to talk a little about O1 visas specifically, which is an extraordinary ability visa for the soon-to-be graduates or alumni at your school, and the path to securing your artist visas here, and maybe later turn it into a permanent residency, which is a green card, right? So I'm gonna share a PowerPoint that I created for this event, and then we're going to take it from there. And at the end, if you have any questions or if you want to reach out to me, my email address is on these slides. You can reach out to me and I'd be happy to answer any questions. All right. You can see this, right?
Yes, that's perfect.
Perfect. Okay, I'll go with play. And that's it. All right, these are my credentials. On paper, I'm everything, but don't take it so seriously. So okay, we'll start with what an O1 visa is. So the O1 visa is a non-immigrant visa category for foreign nationals of extraordinary ability in, we don't care about sciences, education, business, or athletics. We do care about the arts here, right? So this is one visa category that you artists can use to stay in the country and work in your artistic fields for the, maximum period of 3 years. But it depends on if you do have, future works and engagements already set up, which we will get into later. So what is an O1 visa? O1 visa, to obtain an O1 visa, the most important part is for you to show that you are extraordinary and you do possess extraordinary ability, right? And then, and what that means is you either have to show that you received a significant sort of national or international award, which in your field, that is, the examples are maybe a Turner Prize or, a Hugo Boss Prize, or even fellowships such as Guggenheim Fellowship or MacArthur Fellowship. If you have those, don't worry. just, showing the evidence that you won or you won those awards or you got those fellowships. You can easily just, be approved. And we will discuss the process, but you can get an approval on O1, you can stay here and work for 3 years in the US. And maybe after you have options to renew or extend, or even turn that into a green card through an EB1 petition. Or if you do not have, you're not a recipient or a nominee for such significant national and international awards, you have another option to satisfy at least 3 of the enumerated categories in the statute for this visa category. And there are 7, but we only focus on 6 because the other one is comparable evidence. So we're gonna go through all these categories one by one and show sort of, and discuss what they mean, and what you can do to, if you're a student, what you can do, or how you can think about strengthening your resumes specifically to for visa purposes. I know everything is different in any sort of field, especially field of art. The things that you do that matter the most are not necessarily the things that you do to obtain any sort of governmental benefits, namely immigration benefits. So the categories that you have to satisfy at least 3 of them to be eligible for this visa are, first, you have to show that you have performed and will perform services as a leading or starring participant in a production or event that has distinguished reputation. So we'll go one by one on next slides to discuss each category in depth. The second one is that you have to show that you have received national or international recognition for achievements through critical reviews via published materials. The third one, you have to show that you have performed in a leading, starring, or critical role for organizations and establishments that have a distinguished reputation. The fourth one is have a record of major commercial or critically acclaimed success. Fifth one, have achieved significant recognition from organizations, critics, government agencies, recognized experts. And the last one is that you have to command, or you have to show that you will command a high salary or other compensations. And the seventh one, which we don't usually work with, is that you show comparable evidence to one of the 6 enumerated categories. So let's go to the first one. What actually is the first category, which is showing that the leading or you perform leading or starring role in productions. So as you can see, what's written in red is the verbatim language from the statute. And I read it. It's you have to show the services refers to USCIS, United States Immigration and Nationalization and Naturalization Services. Yeah, I mean, I referred to it as USCIS so many times that I sort of forgot. So you have to show the services that you performed and to be performed as a leading or starring participant in productions or events which have a distinguished reputation as evidenced by critical reviews, advertisements, publicity releases, publications, contracts, or endorsements. So here we're dealing with 3 main elements. The first one is, have you performed or have you been booked to perform in a leading or starring role in a production or event? What is leading or starring role? So as an artist, especially in the fine arts, you will find yourself with many different sort of engagements. One is that you may have solo shows somewhere. If you have a solo show and you know that solo show is in a prestigious venue, gallery, or exhibition, and you know, as a solo artist, you definitely have a significant role, right? So that would count as sort of a satisfaction to this category. So let's see, what is leading, starring, or critical role? So some are understood as main exhibit artists, which we talked about, directors, producers, starring actors, company CEOs, which does not apply to the fine arts, a leader in a you know, a singer in a band, or a composer, or a playwright. As a fine artist, you can show participation in, let's say, an artist talk, where you are the only artist on the panel who gives lecture. That is participation in a leading role of a production or event. You know, it does not have to necessarily be an exhibition or, you know, something that you normally deal with in your field. But if it's even remotely related to your field and you're invited as an artist to give lecture, that is a leading role in an event. And you know, some of the other sort of roles that needs some sort of argument that to satisfy this is, you know, as I put it in the in this slide, is the costume designers, or as a group exhibition artist. I know most of you, when you graduate or when you're about to graduate, you mostly will have group exhibitions. Those need to be argued a little bit. We have to show by evidence what your role was and to what extent you participated as a group exhibition artist. So my suggestion is, when you're sort of dealing with those situations, make sure that you ensure that your presence is felt. If there is a significant venue or exhibition that you're showcasing your work, make sure that you follow up, you participate maybe more than others, just for the benefit of getting this, immigration benefit. And document everything. The key to your success as a matter of immigration process is to document everything. Whenever you receive a text message, a congratulation from a notable person, whenever you receive an email saying how awesome you are from a notable person, definitely keep those documents in your records and then give them to your lawyer. So that makes our lives way easier. Instead of us asking for all these documents, when you have all of them and you send it to us, voila, you're already there. So the next one is recognition for achievements. So the next category is to show national or international recognition for achievements evidenced by critical reviews or other published materials by or about the individual in major newspapers, trade journals, magazines, or other publications. So here we're not talking about your name just appearing somewhere in press, in like let's say there's a Guardian piece and in passing your name is mentioned. Those may be helpful if they're accompanied by other publications about you, like really about you and your work, and then even if there is a full paragraph about you and your work, that counts. But as you can see, you know, some helpful press coverage is press publicity about a nomination or award receipt. So if, let's say, there is this press article about you know, some awards, and they mention you by name that, you know, so and so are the recipients of this award, that helps. Even if it's just one sentence in the whole 3-page article, that, you know, the courts have sort of ruled that that counts. But if it's not about awards or nominations and your name is mentioned in passing, even that one sentence, not helpful. And some, you know, not particularly helpful you know, examples are that the press that references you in general. Let's say you're an amazing artist, but there is this article about the effect of, or the impact of COVID closures on your industry, and they interview with you. That does not necessarily amount to satisfying this criterion, right? It has to be about you or your achievements. So make sure, again, before you graduate, whenever you have the opportunity to talk to press or a journal or a journalist, make sure to highlight your achievements and highlight or ask them to write about your achievements. This is a very normal practice in this country. You can also talk to journalists whenever they interview you. You also can sort of ask them to help you with you know, putting just 1 or 2 sentences about you and your achievements. So have that in mind. The third one is that you performed in a lead or starring or critical role for organizations or establishments, again, which have distinguished reputation. How you show distinguished reputation is by critical reviews, by press. Let's say you worked for a certain organization. You have to show that they're so reputable that whatever they do, there is at least, you know, 1 or 2 press coverage about that. So and what is leading or starring or critical, it depends. You know, curators could be of a leading role in curating an exhibition, and like costume designers in theatrical or film and TV productions, and so on. There is a difference between this criterion and the first one. The first one was to you know, have performed or will perform in lead or starring role in a production and event. And this one is about organizations and establishments. So technically, we're talking about 2 different sort of roles, but there is a huge overlap between them. We're talking about the in front of camera people and behind the scenes people, but they can be both. Like we did successfully argue that, let's say, if a person is a lead singer in a band, of course, every event that they participated in, that person had a leading role. So the criterion number 1 was satisfied. But then we also argued that the meaning of the band has an overlap with the meaning of an organization. So we sort of introduced the band as an organization. And then we said, as a lead singer, this person also plays a leading or starring role in the band, meaning the organization. So category number 3, also satisfied. So you should think about these things when you go about taking on projects and doing extra work out of school to make sure that you know what exactly you're doing. Record all the documents that you receive. If someone sends you an email saying that without you, this project, this thing could not have happened, definitely record that. So the fourth one is the widespread critical acclaim. And as you can see, the actual official wording of the statute is a record of major commercial or critically claimed success, as evidenced by such indicators as title, rating, or standing in the field, box office receipts, credit for original research or product development, motion picture or television ratings, and other occupational achievements reported in trade journals, major newspapers, or other publications. So let's be clear, you are soon to be graduate from the fine arts field, or you already, just graduated. So commercially success, not really, let's move on. Critically acclaimed, maybe, so you have to only show that your achievements are, I'm so sorry. Okay, that you have to show that you've done something, and to the extent that you sort of got the attention of the experts and everyone in the field, and those achievements, not necessarily in the US. Let me be clear. All of the things that we talked about, you shouldn't compare it to what you're experiencing in the US. You have to only show that you are amongst the top practitioners of your field in your home country. So do not think about, hey, it has to, I'm just a graduate from the school in the US, and you don't compare yourself with the people in your practice area or in your field within the US. You compare yourself with the people at your home country, and that's the key. Sometimes people come to me and be like, hey, I don't have a publication in New York Times, in Guardian, and I'm like, do you have anything written about you in a major publication in your own country? And they're like, hey, yes, a lot, but they don't count. I'm like, yeah, those count way more than New York Times, maybe. If your name is mentioned in passing in New York Times, it doesn't matter. But if there is an article about you in a major publication in your home country, that's a win. The weight of that is way more than your name being mentioned in passing in New York Times. So make sure, even if you're here, you get any inquiries, or a journalist from your home country wants to do a piece about you or wants to connect with you, make sure you jump on those opportunities, because those are very important. The next one's like recognition from critics. This is very important, because most people, especially in your field, can easily satisfy this through letters from experts. And who are the experts? Maybe one or two of your professors, and one or two, other people that you worked with in the US throughout your career, throughout your networking. So make sure you network, and at some point ask the people, the experts in your field, to write you a testimonial. Many people here sort of mix this letter with recommendation letter. Recommendation letters are for when you want to get into schools. And what we're looking for here is an expert testimonial. Expert testimonial meaning that they objectively are evaluating your achievements and your ability on paper and giving you the recognition, significant recognition in writing by evaluating your work. They're not recommending you to anything, to anyone. They're just objectively evaluating your work and your achievements, your qualifications objectively, right? So make sure you know that many people come to us saying that, hey, you know, I do have like 5 professors who can recommend me. I get back to them saying, do you have anyone who you worked with even once and they are also at the top of their field, they're infamous, they know whether they're known in the field, who can objectively evaluate your work? That is the key. You have to make sure your network expands, you talk to many experts in your field, and you make yourself known to them, even briefly, so they can objectively evaluate the work. And the other things that can satisfy this criterion are awards from certain organizations, certificates from government entities. Maybe you got a certificate of appreciation from your home country's government. That's perfect. So make sure you document everything. The key is to document, and save all the records. So make sure you do that. And the next one is, again, does not necessarily apply to your field, but a high salary or other substantial remunerations. If you, let's say, sold a piece of art for a lot of money compared to the artists who sell art in your home country. Let's say, you know, you're in a field that a small piece of art normally is valued $500 and you sold it for 10,000. That counts. But if the average sort of you know, price for that piece of art is 500 and you sold it for 1,000, that's arguable. So make sure you have that in mind. Keep all the receipts. It never hurts. Just send it to your lawyer. They decide. The next category is the comparable evidence. We, you know, normally we never use this category unless you did something, you thought about something outside the box and you made something happen that you can claim that's comparable to one of these 6 other categories. And then we can make an argument. So make sure you always talk about everything that you've done with your lawyer when the time comes, and let them give you some advice. Another thing that you need for an O visa is a petitioner. So who can be a petitioner? A petitioner is the person who will file this O1 visa on your behalf. Like they are the people, they are the person or the entity who has some sort of beef or benefit in your work, and they petition on their own behalf, but for your benefit to USCIS. So who can be the petitioner? There are different types of petitioners. Petitioner can be a US person or a US entity. Petitioner can be your employer or can be the agent on behalf of your employer. When we say agent, that's different from a talent agent. We call it agent only and solely for the purpose of filing an immigration petition, right? However, a talent agent can also be a petitioner, right? And if a talent agent is the petitioner, then you may not have to show a full 3-year itinerary, a full 3-year sort of lineup of works to USCIS, because you have an agent who is in the business of booking talents for different exhibitions, different festivals, different fellowships, different residencies in your field. So again, make sure you make a good relationship with a booking agent in your field, because those can help so much when it comes to filing an 001 or any other sort of petitions which are non-immigrant petitions. Again, an immigrant visa is different than non-immigrant. For an immigrant visa, which is EB1, you don't need a petitioner. You petition on your own behalf. So, and the standards are way higher. And I don't think we will get a chance to talk about EB1s, but make sure you also make a good relationship with a talent agent in the US. Again, you will need some petitioner agreements, mumbo jumbos, very boilerplate language, and then you also have to show that you have a 3-year itinerary for O1 visa, which the USCIS is not as sort of strict on those itineraries and contracts as they are in, for example, another employment-based category, which is H1B. So O1, as opposed to H1, is reliant heavily on your own achievements and ability. But H1 is mostly reliant on the employer's credibility and reputation, and if they can, pay a certain minimum wage. Whereas O1, of course, extraordinary ability, they know if you don't get this job, you will get the other because you're extraordinary. So definitely make sure you have good connections with agents, and also good connections with galleries, with museums, with other producers, with other curators who can actually give you some sort of deal memos, or even summary of an oral agreement to have an exhibition for you maybe within the next 2-3 years. That helps a lot. Okay, and this is the example of an itinerary. We have to show start date, end date, compensation. Compensation does not need to be a certain amount in dollars. It can be a structure. So it can be, hey, I give you lodging, the same as many residences do. We give you lodging, we give you all the tools for success to produce your artwork. And that's that. So that's a way of defining compensation. And then the venue, location, promoter / employer, and then the terms of the agreement. So these are the necessary things that an itinerary need to show. And I'm sure, when the time comes, you can discuss that with your attorney. So the other thing is, for an O1 visa, you do also need, before filing, you do need to have a consultation letter from either a union in your field or a peer organization, right? So normally in your field, fine arts, visual arts, Fractured Atlas is the go-to peer organization. You submit everything that you have to submit to USCIS before submitting it to USCIS, and they will write a letter of support or a no objection letter saying that they do have no objection for you because you seem to be qualified for this visa. And then you have to put it in your submission packet and send it to USCIS. If we have more time. Okay, and then what comes with O1 visa? you can bring your support staff, or you can petition for your support staff. Even if you're here, you can still petition if for anyone that are, you know, in need of a visa. Let's say you're an artist and you've been working with this amazing manager of yours, who is, you know, sort of integral part of your work. Without that person, you can't do the creative work that you know you need to. You can petition for them as an O2 applicant, and the way is technically the same as O1, but instead of all the categories and, you know, criteria, you have to only show that that person is an integral part of your practice. And then if you're married, you have children, if you're qualified for an O1 visa, they are also qualified for an O3 visa. They can stay in the country, they can go to school, but they cannot work. So these are the benefits of O1. There is a difference between change of status versus consular processing, meaning that if you're in the country, you can file O1 and change your status. But if you're outside the country, you have to file the O1 and then apply for a visa at a, you know, US embassy or consulate outside the country. There are, you know, certain fees involved with O1. One is premium processing fee, which is the government takes $2,500 in addition to other costs involved, just to give you a decision within 15 business days, right? The other one is the other sort of cost, or cost of translation, and the original filing cost, which is as of now $460, but we recently received this memo from USCIS that they intend to raise those fees. And what they came up with is for O1 visa, it's going to be around $1,000 filing fee only. So if you think you're qualified, I highly suggest that you act upon it within the next 3 months, because right now that the memo is out and we're in the public comment period, and after that nobody knows. If, you know, they go with it, you may face $500 to $600 raise in just the regular filing on O1. But, you know, the premium processing used to be $1,410. And in 2021, they like all of a sudden raised it to $2,500. So make sure you also take those things into consideration. Okay, and here is your whole journey. If you're outside the country, the first thing you do is that you reach out to your, you know, your attorney. They evaluate your case. Then there is a client-attorney agreement. And once the case starts, you will start preparing the evidence, which takes around 3 weeks to 3 months. You know, you have to go through all the evidence that you have. You have to do all the translations. You have to reach out to the people, to the experts, and ask if they're willing to write a testimonial for you. If they're willing, then you ask them to fill out questionnaires or write it, and then you communicate with your attorney. The attorney edits or adds or removes parts of that. Then again, it's a lot of communications, a lot of back and forth. And then when the case is ready, you send it to the union or the peer organization for consultation letter. They get back to you within 2 to 10 days. It's different with the peer organization. And then you file the form I-129 with supporting documents. If it's a regular processing, it takes between 2 to 6 months. When I say 6 months, we did have cases on regular processing, which took more than a year, 14 to 18 even months, right? And if it's premium processing, the USCIS is compelled to make a decision within 15 days. And then there are two different decisions that they can make on the initial filing. The first is, of course, which every attorney aims for, is approval. And the second one is an RFE. RFE is short for request for evidence. The USCIS will send you a detailed, not so detailed, sometimes, they just reject some of your arguments without even explaining why. But they will, send you a letter explaining why they do not agree with all the points that you made and what more they need. And they give you 90 days to submit more evidence or make legal arguments as to why you think they're wrong. After you submit the response, then it's either approval or denial. If it's an approval, then in consular processing, you go through the consular process, which, you have to fill out the form DS-160 at the consulate. You have to pay a fee, and then you have to book the first available appointment, go for a visa appointment, and see if there are no sort of security issues, then they will issue you, put the stamp on your passport, and then you can enter with an O1 visa. And there is another way, which is a change of status. And the only difference is, this is actually wrong. It's it should be I-129. But yeah, the only difference is, as soon as you're approved, you can stay in the country. But if you leave the country, you have to again go through the consular processing. So if you change your status, let's say you're on F1 visa, and then you change your status to O, you can stay for 3 years or to whatever the period, the validation period that USCIS actually approves your petition for. But in the middle of that, if you decide to leave, you have to book an appointment with an embassy to get your visa stamped in your passport, because those visa stamps only act as your entry permit. The visa stamp is not your status in the country. The status in the country is validated, or it's validated through a form that's called I-94. So every time you want to know what status you're on, you have to just go to the Custom and Borders website and just search I-94 on Google, and it brings you to that webpage. And you put your passport information, and that is your status in the country. So if you have a visa stamp with 3 months period on it, but you know that you have a 3-year O1, that means the embassy only gave you permission to enter within that 3 months period. But once you enter, you have a 3-year period to stay. So just make sure you do not confuse that that date that's on your visa in your passport with your actual status. And this is the whole summary of an O visa. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. And my contact information is here. This is our website. Feel free to reach out with any questions that you have, and I'd be happy to answer all of those.
Thank you so much, Shervin. Can you keep this slide on the screen for a while? So everyone, if you want to have Shervin's contact info, you can take a screenshot of your screen now, and you will have this information in case you wanted to reach out to him. And also, I took my own screenshot. If you also need any information, just reach out to me. Okay. Thank you so much, Shervin.
Okay.
That was really great, very comprehensive, and I really appreciate your time. So thank you for
Oh,
joining.
thank you. I think I went over the time. I sort of lost the time. I thought, oh my God, yeah, I did really go over time. So yeah, thank you so much. And I hope to,
That was
you know,
great. Yeah, thank you so
okay.
much.
Thank you. Have a
Bye.
good night.